All right. What is going on, everybody, and how are you doing today in Facebook land? Atlanta Bird Gang in the house. Also here on Uncle Steve's Sports Lounge, which you can find on YouTube. Please make sure you subscribe. But more importantly, talking here to my Falcon fans here on a Sunday. Folks, we are 11 days away. Only 11 days away. Can y'all believe this? We were talking about this all year. We've been talking about what we're going to do and when, when this thing is going to come around. And we're almost there. 11 days. And guess what you've been hearing from the front office from Atlanta? Yes, that's crickets, folks. That means they're not giving away anything, as they shouldn't be giving away anything this close in to the game. How y'all doing out there? Steve here. Happy to join y'all. I want to thank my brother Tidy, who is always good listening to in the Atlanta Bird Gang group. I'm kind of ticked off at him, though, because one of the reasons I started watching him is because he used to represent with the Red Solo Cup. Now he's going to Black Starbucks. I'm trying to think, what is that all about? Unless he was hiding something in that Black Starbucks cup. But that's for another show. Tidy and the rest of the admins will be live with you guys next Thursday, ready to do our thing for this draft. I mean, now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. This is probably the first week that we haven't heard any true draft, news as far as things are concerned. But have you noticed that Atlanta Falcons have been the top story this week? And I know probably the top story for the wrong reasons, but think about it. This is probably the most coverage Atlanta has had since probably 2017. This week, wondering what we're going to do with that fourth pick. And we've got opinions on top of opinions on top of opinions. I'm trying to tell you, nobody's right, nobody's wrong. I get it. It's just exciting, and I cannot wait. And I cannot wait to share the mic with my brother Tidy and all the rest of y'all. How y'all doing, brother Rusty? What's going on? Trey, how you doing? Winston, I see Tidy Joy did that. Yeah, brother. You know I'm get you about that cup, man. We'll switch up the cup for some glasses and drink a toast to that first round pick on next Thursday. How about that? Brother Trey, how you doing? I appreciate the love. Brother Steve, how you doing? JR, I got you on keep standing by over there, JR. You're going to see it coming in a second. But anyway, we're going to get started in here. Brother Dave, how you doing, man? Good to see you on YouTube. Like I said, folks, if y'all don't get a chance to see me on Facebook, join me on the YouTube channel. Again, Uncle Steve's Sports Lounge. I'm on there as well. But let's get back to it. Brother Edwin, how are you, sir? Good to see you too. This draft, man. I was listening to a lot of what my brother Tidy was talking about before, and it's hard. It's difficult sometimes when you have somebody that's talking, before you. You don't want to come on
rattle off the exact same thing that they say, and even though you have the same opinion. So I'm going to say it like this, and he was real nice about it. He really was. I'm going to put it like this. I don't apologize for wanting something new. I don't apologize for wanting to change the climate. My wife and I, this is to show y'all, I got a football wife. Kira is my angel and my beautiful partner in crime. And I had a 30-minute conversation with my wife about the Falcons today. So I'm going to let y'all in on a little bit of what we talked about. What's going on, brother Ontavius? And then Cam, what's going on? Thank you, brother. I wish you well, too. What's going on, Charles? Good to see you, too. Dave says, I'm willing to have an honest debate with any Falcon fans in terms of where this organization should be going. Brother Daniel says, rise up. What's going on, man? Listen, my wife and I had a serious talk about why is there such dissension when it talks about the draft pick at number 4? And why is there all this talk about Matt Ryan? Why? And I think for the most part, most of you all who join us, guys, gals, that join in with us, we are really Falcon fans. And when I say we're Falcon fans, the mere fact that we're a 4-12 team and we stir up this conversation, you guys deserve a hand clap just for that. But for those of us who are really invested in this franchise, I'm going to tell you the feeling that I've had for the last 3 years. The feeling I've had is getting excited when a team wins one game after losing the first 5. The feeling is getting excited at the end of the year when Deion Jones gets a pick 6 so we can vault into the number 2 position in the NFC South at the end of the year. Happiness is being close with the Saints down to the end, but not quite getting the job done. Those are the things we've had to get happy about over the last year or two. Matt Ryan, unfortunately, plays in the most polarizing position in team sports, period. Baseball, basketball, soccer, hockey, football. The most polarizing position is the NFL quarterback. When you sign up for that position, you represent everything from the quarterback position itself to the lay of the offense, to the defense, all the way down to special teams. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. That's why they're the highest paid position. That's why they get most of the shine. That's the truth. Try to deny me. As much as Aaron Donald is by far the best player for the LA Rams, is he really looked at as the true leader of that team when it comes to we're down by 6 and they can't get the job done? Who do they look at? They looked at Jared Goff. And when Jared Goff couldn't get the job done as the leader of the team, not for the numbers he had. It's not like Jared Goff had garbage stats last year, along with getting hurt. And they got rid of him so quick, it made your head turn. For those of you who have short memories, the greatest quarterback in the history of the NFL was let go by the New England Patriots last year. The greatest quarterback of all time was released by the New England Patriots. We all know what the end of that story. There's been talk about Russell Wilson wanting to go after leading his team to back-to-back Super Bowl appearances, including one win. Aaron Rodgers, who's been the face of Green Bay since Brett Favre left, talks about him leaving. Phillip Rivers, allegedly Hall of Fame candidate in San Diego and LA, I know. He jettisoned out of there. Why is it that the Matt Ryan narrative has to be so negative when we're trying to get him, when we're trying to improve our lot as a franchise? I explained to you all ad nauseum last week when we were talking about quarterbacks being able to press their team over the top, able to carry their teams. Look, as much as I can't stand Cameron Newton, there were years that Cam Newton basically carried that team on his back. The year they won the Super Bowl, oh Lord, the way they went to the Super Bowl, he carried that team. Fool's gold later on, but he carried that team. Carried that team through playoff years. They had no business making the playoffs. That's what I mean when I say quarterback does more than what he can do. So please don't take it personal when we as fans want a different feel for the franchise, a different excitement, a different tenor, a different vibe, a freshness. It doesn't have to be, listen, at this point, it could be Trevor Lawrence, which is impossible, but it could be Trevor Lawrence. If he was available, I'd jump on him. Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Trey Lance. Kind of shaky on Mac Jones, but y'all get the point. When you lose 3 years in a row, I don't care how many yards you have. I don't care what your completion percentage is. Maybe it's just stale. And for all the talk of it's just the defense, if we just get a piece here, if we just get a piece there, if we just, come on, man. How many years are we going to make excuses? It's time for freshness. It's time to do something different. That's all. It's not personal. I genuinely like Matt. Genuinely. Seriously, all kidding aside. Yes, I don't have a problem with Matt. I really don't. But I do believe, even with Matt starting first game this year, which he will, I think it's just time to change it up a little bit. Just a little bit. So with that in mind, we're going to talk about some draft picks in a couple of minutes. I'm going to get a couple of these comments. Y'all are coming fast and furious, and I appreciate it, man. Dave said, I'm tired of fantasy football, Steve. Daniel, I wouldn't be mad if we draft Trae Young. He could sit for 2 years, but what Arthur Smith wants is what the pick will be. We'll see about that. Dave, your wife asked a very important question. I appreciate that, and I especially as a football wife, and I'm trying to tell you. Daniel says, I don't want to settle with the fourth best quarterback. But again, Daniel, it's not about so much the fourth best quarterback. Maybe it's the fourth best. Who knows? Time will tell how good this quarterback class is. A few years ago, we thought the Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, we thought that draft was going to be the draft for ages. Those would be two Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and both of them, one on their second team, or both of them on their second team. So nobody knows how it's going to pan out. That fourth pick stuff doesn't make a difference to me, as long as it's one of the top guys. And I hear some of y'all. Some of y'all are like, well, just draft. We'll get to the names in a minute. Let's draft this guy, and then we could draft the quarterback down at the fourth round, the third round. Folks, you don't get to this position often. And hopefully we never get to this position. Let's take the time to maximize what we can right now. Got to maximize it while we're at this fourth pick. Let me get over here to my YouTube. What's going on, Armani? Good to see you in there, brother. Cam said, what's up, Ron? Cam says, because people are hung up on stats, not the actual movement and progression of the game, and the so-called stars we have become accustomed to seeing. Artavius, they're going to look to the quarterback. Absolutely. Winston, most people are fine with highlights instead of getting meaningful wins and accolades, i.e. Super Bowl wins. I hear you. Mercy, he wasn't released. His contract ended, which freed him to go where he wanted to go. And I think you're talking about Tom Brady. Okay, tomato. If you're the New England Patriots and you have a chance to re-sign the guy who won you 6 Super Bowls, including the Super Bowl the year before you left, you would try to keep that guy. I guess my bigger point is, if we want to play semantics and just be exact, I get it. You're right. But my bigger point is they were willing to move on from him. They were willing to move on from the greatest. So technically, yes, you're right. But you get my point. So I agree with moving on from Matt. I hear you. Tidy, Cam carried them definitely to the Super Bowl that year. Dude, I don't even remember how many touchdowns he accounted for, but didn't he account for close to 50-something touchdowns that year? If I'm not mistaken, if somebody look at that stat real quick, but Cam has carried these guys. Absolutely carried these guys. We gotta, Matt has been very serviceable, very peaking at a time when we needed him to peak. But let's not be that team that waits and said, we'll be one of those NFL specials 5 years from now. What if the Falcons would have drafted Trey Lance, who's won his 2nd Super Bowl? I'm hypothetically, for some of you who going to go crazy with that. Winston said they had a top 2 defense this year. Yeah, but Cam was still the man. Come on now. Don't do that. Don't play that. You win with look, there have been maybe 2 years, possibly 3 in Super Bowl history that definitively a defense has absolutely, positively won the Super Bowl. The Chicago Bears back in '85, the Baltimore Ravens, Lord forbid, I can't remember what year it is, but it was the year Trent Dilfer was there. And then you could argue that Russell Wilson team in Seattle that just smothered Peyton Manning after Peyton broke every NFL record that year. I know there are defenses that are great. I know that was Tampa Bay with Brad Johnson. I know that. I remember. I know there's the Philly defense a couple of years ago against the Patriots. But those 3 smothering defenses were on one of the few out of 50-something Super Bowls where they absolutely dominated so much that you didn't need the quarterback play. I know y'all going to come up with more, so we'll have that to debate. Daniel says Cam had 45 touchdowns. Thank you, brother. Trey says Matt is going to go somewhere else and they're going to appreciate him and respect and watch him win the Super Bowl. Then how will the Falcon fans react? But here's the problem, though, Trey. I believe you, too. I absolutely believe you. Matt Ryan right now, if he went to the Chicago Bears, he would have a better chance of going to the Super Bowl than we would right now. If Matt Ryan had beat Matt Stafford to the punch, he would have a better chance of going with the LA Rams than we would right now. There's no denying that Matt Ryan is not serviceable. I think what the thing is here, after 3 years, after doing everything we said, we've got an offensive lineman, we got him another receiver in Calvin Ridley, another weapon. We got another weapon in Hurst last year. We thought Gurley would work out. That didn't work out. That's fine. But how many excuses are we going to make? Come on, man. And now we've gotten to the point where even if you want to try to bring up stats, You went from 7-9 to 4-12. It wasn't all the defense, y'all. Y'all watch the games. Come on now. The defense was horrific the first part of the year, but it wasn't all the defense. Not all of it. So I don't mind having that argument, but at the same time, like, come on now. Perry, how you doing? Sir said, what's up, fam? Want Justin Fields, but people are scared with the restructuring of Matt's contract and the rumor of GM and head coach not on the same page at one point. To me, that's good news because it keeps us in the headlines. Here's my thing. I talked about this last week. Yeah, the reports about Terry and Arthur not being on the same page, again, I'm not exactly, mad about that because at the same time, I mean, this is a new franchise. Both of these guys are new at the job that they're at. Of course, they're not going to be in lockstep with everything. They're just getting to know each other. It's not like Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith were hanging out at the bar in 2020. Neither one of them thought they would be in this position. So to say that, but they both have two different ideas, I love that. That's two strong alpha males going in there and saying we need to do something for this franchise. What is the best move? I don't have a problem with that. Daniel said Cam was too scared to dive on a fumble in the big game. Now, I didn't say I loved Cam. I was just saying Cam made his team better. Absolutely better. Kevin Newton. Newton never carried that team. Interesting. Okay. I'll leave that up there, and then when you can tell me how he didn't carry the team, I'll come back to you. J. Lubin says stats mean nothing when you go 4-12. Say it again. Say it again. Toddy, sometimes you just need new energy and direction in the locker room. It's never personal. And I tried to express that. And we were talking about, my wife and I, when we were talking, and I was trying to explain it to her from a cooking term, like when you got the crock pot going, and the crock pot is meant for stuff to sit. And yeah, sitting alone just makes it good. But in order to get the flavor and get everything all the way through, you got to go in there and stir it up every now and then. If you let it just sit too long, it's just going to sit there. So to get inside, get the spoon in, stir it around, get it going, get the flavors rolling in there. Imagine this fan base. Imagine this fan base with the infusion of Justin Fields. I'm not even sitting here trying to tell you Justin Fields is the number one all-time ever prospect in the history of quarterbacks. I'm not here to debate that. What I am here to debate is that we've never had a legitimate young quarterback prospect to come in here and push the incumbent. It's been smooth sailing. It's been like a person that's been sitting in Congress for 40 years because nobody in his district wants to change anything. And then the young buck comes along and all of a sudden people start saying, wait a minute, let's change this up a little bit. Lord, I didn't mean to infuse politics in it, but you get what I'm saying. And I say Justin Fields, but interchange Trey Lance. Shoot, interchange Zach Wilson if he's available. But what this city needs is a reason to shout, a reason to get excited. Matt Ryan goes out, throws 2 interceptions in the first half. Do you think he goes over there with the same energy, knowing that it's a 20-plus, 21-year-old sitting over there throwing the ball strong, warming up? Do you think he has the same? Do you think his mindset is thinking, I might be pulled at any moment? Of course he does. Right now, he doesn't have that. He had his buddy Matt Schaub, his buddy Matt Sims, his buddy Kurt Benkert, and all the other scrubs that we brought in here as the second quarterback. Infuse energy, infuse difference in here. You got to. Daniel says Kuechly and Davis had a big part in the win of the Super Bowl. Yeah, let's not play that game. Cam Newton was the MVP that year. Cam Newton was the reason those cats got a chance to play defense because Cam Newton kept those guys off the field in 2015. If you want to go look at some, I tell you what, you pull up the time of possession for me during that year. Pull up the average time of possession and then come back to me about the defense card, because you don't have to go on the field for defense when your offense is staying on the field for 2/3 of the time. And that's what happened the year Cam Newton was on the field. I'm not going to play that one. Cam, I don't, I can't stand them or those Ice Cube head babies. Winston, I think Trey Lance is going to be the best quarterback out of this draft with the right system, especially one like we will be running. I will tell you, I love Trey Lance a smidge more than Justin Fields. And I think because of our situation, that might go down a little bit better with Trey Lance being in here, because judging by what system he ran up to what they were doing in Ohio State, Trey Lance seems to be the better fit. But I will tell you, it's interchangeable. The only reason I say the Justin Field thing would make city-wise makes a lot of sense. You pulling the hometown boy back home, back into Atlanta, Georgia. You got some of those folks up there in Athens still ticked off that Kirby stuck with Jake Fromm that want to come down here and give Justin some love. You know what that will do? All those red seats that we're used to seeing on the field, that are on the screen, that is, when we're watching TV, all those red seats, they'll start filling up a little bit. Even if you know Matt is taking the snap, just the chance that they might throw Justin in there for a play or two. Hometown boy comes home, does good. Tell me that's not marketable. And don't tell me they're not thinking about it. On top of the fact that he scored 6 touchdowns against what was supposed to be one of the top 5 defenses in college. And still scored against, well, Alabama's defense was nothing to be bragging about this year. Still scored 30 points against the Alabama team. So please don't tell me he doesn't have the talent. But I'll be honest, I wouldn't mind a Trey Lance pick myself. David says 35 touchdowns and 10 rushing. That's still really good, though. That's still really good for that year, for the Cam argument. Dang, how did we start talking about Cam? I messed that up, didn't I? Winston said Cam had 50, something like this, like 34 and 16 or something like that. John Harris, no. The Bears had the number 1 offense and the defense in the league in 1955. Okay, but that was the flip, Jay. That was kind of in the flip category. That particular defense that year dominated so much that the offense stayed on the field. That was another case where, shoot, the offense for the other team couldn't get on the field. And if I'm not mistaken, now I might have to see what the offensive numbers are for as far as rushing. Because I know Walter was still there. I know Willie Gault was out there catching passes. And listen, I'm not saying that the offense wasn't good, but come on, man. They beat, who did they beat? 49. Did they beat somebody 49-0 that year? Going into it, I know the 2 games leading up to the Super Bowl were thrashings. So, I'm not trying to hear that either. Sometimes on paper makes sense, but you got to look at the games. I remember looking at those games. Chicago was super dominant. Matter of fact, that year, it was only 2 teams that actually stayed, that actually gave them a little bit of a run. And believe it or not, Atlanta was one of them until late in the game. Winston, both of Baltimore's defense was number 1 overall those seasons. They smacked them up in both Super Bowls. Yep. Charles, the NFC North sucks. They were bad in 2016. Trey says Smith has high hope has high hope for Matt Ryan. I'm sure he does. Look, that's his team. He inherited him. What do you think he's going to do? Hope he fails? There is nobody here that's hoping Matt Ryan, at least while he's still on this team. We can talk all of the mess we want to from the outside looking in. As Falcon fans, I don't want Matt to fail if he's taking the ball in the center. That's stupid. That's dumb. But during the off season, when we have chances to make changes, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Matt Ryan has been the picture of consistency and like he's been this martyr of a quarterback. And when I say martyr, I'm talking about on the field, not off the field. Off the field, the greatest. But on the field, it's not like he's been this perennial all-pro. That's not. And I know sometimes we get a little, boisterous in our way of talking about this stuff, but it's just to counteract some of the, where people mistake things as hate. That's not what it is. It's not hate. Daniel said, I'm picking Lance over Fields. Like I said, I'm right there with you, Daniel. Perry, that Super Bowl year for Cam, was he in a contract year? That's why he didn't go for that fumble anyway. Yeah, that fumble, him not getting that fumble really looked bad. Octavius, it's time to stop making excuses. The Falcons got to get some new talented quarterback. We'll never know when we may have this high pick again. And that's the bottom line, man. It has zero to do with personally. And for those who want to say, well, let's go ahead and get Kyle Pitts. Let's go ahead and get Penei Sewell. Let's go ahead and get – I understand all of those. And as Tidy said in his last filming right before here, if they get those guys, dude, I'm signed on. But you better bet your bottom dollar next offseason if one of them allowed 12 sacks and then Kyle Pitts ends up being a bust, you can bet your bottom dollar I'll be on here saying I told you so. But that being said, I'm keeping it real. If we draft those guys, I'm down. But let's not pretend like Matt has been so awesome that we couldn't let him go. The Detroit situation was very similar to what's going on here in Atlanta. Think about it. Matt Stafford wasn't horrific at Detroit. I'll say Matt Stafford, his stats kind of mirrored Matt Ryan's. Matt Ryan had more success from him as far as playoffs, obviously, and getting to the Super Bowl, but it's kind of the same thing. So when you start thinking about it in that realm, Detroit wasn't afraid to say, let's switch up the energy a little bit. Let's switch it up. This isn't saying Matt Ryan is that bad. It's saying we just need to do something different. And what better time to do something different when you got two new guys who have no ties to the Matt Ryan contract, no ties to the Julio Jones contract. Matter of fact, no ties to any of the foolish contracts we've given out here, that they just want to win. And they want to win this year and next year and next year. They aren't throwing out, it's early, but they aren't throwing out things like Falcon for life and all things like that. They're talking about winning in the now. They got a mess. They inherited a mess, both of them. And back to the point about both of them having two different opinions, so what? Dude, I love it. I mean, if you're going to bring the same exact person in and make the same, of course you're going to have debate. But, that comes with the territory, y'all. Armani says $1 million. They want every excuse to keep Matt Ryan. Talking about getting a new quarterback is a sin for some people in this group. Absolutely. Absolutely. Mercy, Matt Ryan can make a good car salesman. He'll be the richest car salesman going on out there. Chauncey, what's going on, buddy? How you doing, sir? It's okay that Terry and Arthur are having disagreements because this is like a marriage. They will have disagreements, but at the end of the day, they will compromise. All good marriages do. Not an issue. That's a very good analogy. Because if I'm at a table of 5 and I have 5 yes men, when I sit at the table and I say, I want ideas, and all 5 of them favorite word is yes, boss, then I'm going to get 5 new people in there. I'm going to look at the person who's going to challenge me to say, oh, before you go there, let me put this on the table. They didn't say they were sitting there with knives getting ready to duel about who was going to be the first round pick. I don't blame either one of them. I'm like, hey, there are more than one ways to fix this franchise. I'm sure. And if you had 2 other people, they might be coming in with 2 other ideas. But the one thing they both have is that number 4 pick. That number 4 pick, that's rich. And even if they talk about trading back, it'll be interesting where that goes. Charles, you would be scared to dive in a fumble if you was getting your head tore off every time you got sacked, and he did get sacked a lot that game. Calvin. Stovall said Fields won't make it past the 3rd round. He might not. You never know. But Stovall, the only thing I just say, I'm not sure how serious the talk has been because everything everybody's talking about is talk. Because there was a time there where San Francisco was talking about going for Mac Jones. So if that's the case, it could open up a little bit of window that Justin Fields could fall back. So that's the only caveat to that situation. But I hear what you're saying. You're absolutely right. I went past there. Trey said Ben Kurt was a waste of space. Yeah, but you know what, though, Trey? There were people in this group, and I'm not saying anybody who's on the thing. There were people in this group that thought Ben Kurt was going to be the next Jimmy Garoppolo / Tom Brady, man. I'm serious. If I listen to one more person talk about how he was going to be the next quarterback and waiting behind Mac, they got rid of him early. Tidy, in 2015, the Carolina Panthers were number 1 in time possession. Thank you. Tidy, I promise you, I had no idea about that stat. But unfortunately, I watched that season. I watched that season. You and I were probably at the only game they lost in the regular season that year. Those cats kept the ball. They kept the ball. They grinded out. So by the time the defense got on the field, shoot, they were nice and fresh. They were tearing folks up. Of course, your defense is going to be great if your offense has a dominate the game type shit. Think about the Falcons themselves, y'all. During that last 8-game stretch of the Atlanta Falcons 2016 season, folks, the defense wasn't staying on the field that long unless they were scoring quick, which they did some of that too. But they weren't. Brandon, they ran the ball well, something we don't do at all. Absolutely. Honestly, if Field is there at 4, you can't pass on him. Winston, I understand that, but at the same time, that's fanfare. I'm trying to win, and I think Lance will be a better fit. But Winston, you're not going to get an argument with me if we pick Trey Lance. Come on now. Listen, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, keeping it real. I know the Trey Lance argument about better decision maker, listen, to sit here and try to pretend I watched more Trey Lance games than I did Justin Fields game would just be a straight up lie. But yeah, that's not true. I haven't. But either way, Winston, it's all good. Either way. Perry, I guess the question is, will a quarterback win you a Super Bowl or a top 10 defense? Because we need both of them right now. Matt still won't win those Super Bowl with the defense put together. Now, this number 4 pick for the Falcons, whatever they do, dang if they keep it and dang if they trade it, because if you get the wrong players, we'll be back in this spot in 3 to 4 years. This is where you hope, Perry, that the folks you brought in are not only have a good scheme going forward, but their scouting department picks better players. That's been one of our biggest bugaboos, y'all. We don't have a scouting team, or we didn't have a scouting team that picked great players. And have we made good picks? The Grady pick, the Deion Jones pick, picks that weren't first round picks that turned out to be pretty good? Absolutely. But overall, if you have a pick for every round, I'm expecting 5 of those people to make the team and probably expecting at least 2 to start if you're scouting for them. And the other 3 better be good backup / special team players. I just don't think our scouting staff. We were going back over the drafts last week with me and Jay, and we were looking at those drafts. Some of those drafts were horrific. Now, 2016, it's probably no coincidence that was the year we went to the Super Bowl, because you had 4 guys legitimately that started at some time during the year. So scouting means everything. So I'm more than the names that I see that'll come on our board in 2 weeks. I'm looking to see what those guys do when it's time to get out there and put the Falcons uniform on. Because a lot of times we've said a lot of things. We look at the draft and look at those names and say, yeah, that might be a good guy. But what's the scouting right? Does this guy translate from what he was doing in college? Does it translate to the NFL? That's what I'm looking for out of these scout guys. Chauncey, even when the team is bad, the seats will be filled. Atlanta fans are different that way. Listen, Chauncey, you're calling it like it is, and folks, this is not anything where I'm going to try to sit here and sugarcoat it. This is Atlanta, Georgia. This is a predominantly black city. You guys saw what happened when Vic was here, and I'm not talking about off the field. To see someone look like you, be in that position, it would ignite this base here, folks. That's just plain and simple. And that's not, if you want to take it to another place, you can take it, but that's the truth. So it just so happens that they are black, but it also happens that they're also pretty good. And if you want to see how good they are, let them pass you at number 4 and see how quick somebody else gobbles them up. That's the truth. Now, I'm sorry, y'all. Tidy says the Benz has started to feel like a library. The fans at games seem to have lost hope. We need a shot of new energy. And Tidy, I don't know if y'all remember 2019. I actually videotaped a couple of halftimes. There was a halftime that I did in late 2019, I swear. And when I turned on the tape, it was halftime. And I swear it was almost like nobody there. You know that bottom part down there in the sky zone, the Delta thing? I mean, it was wide open. 2017, the first year that thing opened, you could barely get in. You were sitting there elbowing people left and right. That's not good, y'all. If I'm at a football game for my team, I want to be squeezing through the crowd. I want the traffic to take 30 to 40 minutes for me to get loose. I don't want to take 10 minutes to get from the stadium to my house from a game, which was the case a couple of years ago. Literally getting straight from the stadium, I'm on the highway in 5 minutes. Not even exaggerating. During that 2016 year, boy, if y'all were around here, it would take an hour and a half. Beating down on New Orleans, slapping up San Francisco, beating Green Bay in the last second. Took an hour and a half, 2 hours to get up out of there. Beautiful if you're an Atlanta Falcon fan. That's what the feeling I want back, y'all. And I'm not saying it's all 100% attached to Matt, but again, remember my point at the beginning. The most polarizing position in American sports is the NFL quarterback. Sometimes you need to switch things up a little bit. Brandon Lance doesn't have the experience. He threw all of 300 passes, but he's going to be on the bench, Brandon. He's not going to start. What's going on, brother? Armand, so what would you do if whatever quarterback and hope, wait a minute, I'm sorry again. What would you do if whatever quarterback, and hope that doesn't happen if Matt gets hurt like in week 3 and the backup comes in and balls out? What do you do when it's time for Matt to come back? You sit Matt's behind on the bench. That's what you do. Man, please. It's the NFL. You ride what was winning. Ask Drew Bledsoe about that. Ask Phil Simms about that. You ride the hot hand. That's an easy one. I hope you didn't think that was a tongue twister or a hard riddle. You ride the hot hand, man. Toddy, Cam Newton in 2015 had 45 regular season touchdowns, 5 playoff touchdowns combined, 50 in one season. Absolutely insane. Ridiculous. And ran into a Denver defense that would not stop talking to him all day long. All day. Brandon, this pick is going to be very interesting. It's hard to miss on this pick, even with a trade down. I think we're going to mess it up going OT or trading to the you mean the Washington football team. Yeah. I will be highly disappointed if we don't go for a quarterback at number 4, but I will be truthful. If I was going to not go that direction, I would probably go the Sewell guy. Again, piggybacking off Tidy because that's fresh on my mind from his thing earlier. Over the years, this franchise has pretty much prided itself on trying to get every single weapon for Matt Ryan. We started that talk back in the Mike Smith days when we needed explosive plays, so we got Julio Jones. Then you thought you were going to change the running game coming in here later on. Well, let me go back one more. You brought in Tony G at tight end. Then later on, after Michael Turner couldn't do it anymore, you brought in Steven Jackson, thinking that was going to ignite the base or something. Then in 2016, you brought in, you got rid of Roddy White, brought in Mohamed Sanu. So, and you brought in Taylor Gabriel. All these things to accent the offense, all these things. And your quarterback still has never thrown for 40 touchdowns. It's very interesting to me. But we continue to keep acting like if we just get this other piece. So Kyle Pitts would go opposite Hunter, what's the name? Hunter Hurst, Hayden Hurst. And all of a sudden, you plug him in and the same 9 touchdowns from Florida Gators is supposed to come here. It doesn't work that way all the time, y'all. And then I'm not sure Matt can do it. I don't know. But Ryan has been consistent. He doesn't miss games and plays at a high level despite defenses being terrible and running game being subpar. And what you didn't add to that, Brandon, he is 18-30 in the last 3 years. And contrary to belief, a lot of those losses squarely are on Matt Ryan. No, all of them are not, but some of those losses are squarely on Matt Ryan. He did not play the greatest game in the world against the Seattle Seahawks last year. He definitely didn't play his greatest against New Orleans, especially the first time. He definitely did not play his greatest against Carolina Panthers. He did not play his greatest throwing those interceptions against the Chargers this year. Do I need to continue? I get it. Matt Ryan is a good quarterback, but he's not that guy. And you need that guy to win in the NFL. Not just to have a winning record, to win in the NFL. You've got to have that guy. He's not that guy anymore. I'm trying to be nice because there are some that's going to suggest he was never that guy. I think he was. Perry said, I think Kyle Pitts saying the Falcons are very interested in him put the pressure on the Falcons. For what? So? Shouldn't put any pressure on him. I will go down and say, I'll complain that night, but if they pick Kyle Pitts, I'm not sure that's going to be the greatest decision the franchise would make. I really don't. I don't think that'll be a great decision. I really don't. Winston, Matt really has been extremely consistent throughout his career. The problem is the consistent level just isn't enough. That's all I'm saying. What is the difference between Matt Ryan and Russell Wilson? I mean, tell me. What is the difference between Matt Ryan and Russell Wilson? Russell Wilson has the intangible of doing whatever it takes. Matt Ryan had that whatever it takes in 16. But I'm not sure if he still has the whatever it takes right now. One day it's going to run out for Russell. It'll run out for Aaron. And contrary to belief, it'll run out for Tom Brady soon. But right now, you have an opportunity to push the reset button at that position. And when I say push the reset, y'all, I'm not telling you the rookie quarterback will start in 2021. What I'm saying is to look forward to what's going to happen next year. You can't just, these days, NFL franchises, you cannot set yourself up to say, okay, he's retiring. Now we'll bring in the quarterback. The Giants did it right with Daniel Jones. He just hasn't lived up to it. Kansas City did it right. Alex Smith to Patrick Mahomes. Green Bay did it right. Favre to Rodgers. You know, so you want to set yourself up to have your person there. You don't want to set it up to where the person retires and then you're just gone and you have nothing and nothing's left in the cupboard. That's not how you set up a franchise. Brandon, we signed on for Beasley too. We can't keep reaching for need. Yeah, and Beasley was one of those cases, true. You're absolutely right, where we thought he was going to be the answer. And we kind of got fooled that second year to thinking he was going to be the answer. You know, I was thinking about that too. We were talking about Vic Beasley the other day, and and we talked about this early last year, and I want y'all to respond to this if y'all get a chance. Who's the bigger bust? Vic Beasley or Jadeveon Clowney? And I know that sounds very, very simple question to ask. Who's the bigger bust? Well, John said Bears beat the Giants 21-0 and the Rams 24-0 and the Patriots 46-10. That's pretty dang on dominant. J-Dot says, we don't know what 49ers are going to do with their pick. If they go Matt Jones, we absolutely need to get Justin Fields. And that was one of the things I was saying. There has still been rumors that they like Matt Jones. So if they like Matt Jones, why not go after him? You might as well. Charles, if Kyle Pitts is a bust, then he just wasn't meant to be in the league. And a lot of folks are like that. We were having an argument the other week about Glenn Dorsey. Remember when Matt Ryan was drafted and folks thought Glenn Dorsey was supposed to be the next guy? Supposed to be the next big-time defensive guy? Turned out we made the right decision in that case. Michael, let's have a Matt do less. a mistake-free offense. The Falcons has to run the ball and 2 new backs, 1 fast and 1 return game type, and a powerful receiver back. Get Fields, got to if he's available. I got you. Brandon, 49ers going Fields. Shanahan wants an athletic quarterback to run them bootlegs. Yeah, that could be true too. Brother David says, my opinion, this fan base had overrated our talent on the field. That's why they are so hesitant to draft a quarterback at 4. We are a bad football team, period. 7-9, 7-9, 4-12. You are who your record said you are. Only thing I'll say about that, David, is that was a different regime making those picks. We've been in a malaise because we're so used to, and I'm not even going to fault Dan Quinn in this case because Dan Quinn wasn't here for the whole time, but Thomas Dimitroff made those picks. Yes, it does seem like after 13 years of making same mediocre picks that what else are you to expect this year? Only thing I expect is I see some younger cats, some guys who both have jobs for the first time, and I'm sure they're going to pull out all the stops to try to win. So while I understand that's probably the thought process, that same old Falcons, here we go again, I still think there's a little bit of optimism in me to say that these guys somehow, some way are going to get it right. Brandon says, I don't think we're a mess. We do need we just need some coaching. You're right about that. Winston, you can't hire a yes man and expect to be successful in business. Amen. Kevin says, Panthers D in 2015 were top 5 in total defense, number 1 in forced turnovers, and top 5 in sacks, and had the MVP. Guarantee you this. Let's put it this way. Cam Newton is not on that team. Carolina is his normal 8-8, 9-7, 7-9 self. If that's, I guess, if that's supposed to be your argument, I guess. Armani says Rams had one of the best defensive last year, got knocked out of the playoffs. That shows that defense doesn't win you a Super Bowl, and the complete team does. Yeah, tell that to Kevin for me. John, the quarterback I was thinking about. Yeah, Dominique Davis. I forgot about Dominique Davis. That's right. He was here. Winston Fats. It looked like we were just picking anyone that name popped on the TV somewhere during their college career. Chadwick, I was about to say Bledsoe. Forbro, what's going on? Said Winston. Vic, Clowney was at least ranked as the 20th best in last season out of 100. Hold that phone. Winston, you know what I want you to do? I want you to go and look and see how many sacks Jadeveon Clowney. And remember, y'all, Jadeveon Clowney was the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Tell me how many sacks he had. Tell me how many sacks Vic had, knowing also that Vic was not expected to be this career-changing guy when he came in. Clowney was expecting to be this generational defensive end. So when Clowney came in, he was thought to, with him and J.J. Watt, they were expected to be yin and yang. They were expected to be the greatest defensive duo of all time. Jadeveon, Rusty said, Jadeveon, it is by far the biggest bust. Everyone wants to sit here and try to pretend like, and I'm going to tell you this, Titus says, Clowney is one of the most overhyped college prospects in decades. And even with his decent year he had at South Carolina, if Jadeveon Clowney doesn't make that play against Michigan in the Outback Bowl, South Carolina against Michigan, if he doesn't make that play, we aren't talking about him in the way we talked about him leading into that draft. He was built on one play. How do you make up for the fact that he's been, this will be his what? The Browns what? Third or fourth team? Third team, right? The number 1 overall pick. But yet you're expecting Beasley, and this is not trying to take up for Beasley by any means. But I'm just saying, you know, this, yeah, that David put the same thing up there, lived off that hit against Michigan. That's saying that was his moneymaker. That one hit got him paid. And man, it was a good thing they probably had the rookie cap by then, because he probably would have got over that year. But since then, everybody's kind of moved on from him. But he's made his money. Pros and cons, Justin Fields for our team. I gave you the pros. I gave it to you earlier. I had this set up earlier. That's why I'm putting it up now. Justin Fields, hometown, Harrison High. University of Georgia, even though 1 year, still got friends there. Being able to come back here and have that fan base, not only from the days he grew up, but also that Georgia. What if Georgia fans always talked about? Falcons don't bring anybody from UGA. I hear it all the time. I hear it at work. Hear it everywhere I go. They don't deserve no Bulldogs in there. They don't. That's what I hear. Yeah, Tidy 14. That's right. I forgot about Tennessee. Forgot about that. Houston, Seattle, Tennessee, and Browns. Winston says Clowney had 32, Beasley 37.5. Look up Clowney disruption rate. He still affects the game without top set, but you're the number one pick. Number one overall picks don't play on their fourth team in their sixth season. I'm sorry. If you're number one overall pick, I can almost see you making one move to another franchise. Number one overall picks don't play on their 14, bro. Not this early. I'm sorry. I hear you when you're saying this. Now, I'm not saying that's not a legitimate stat, Winston. God bless you. I'm not saying that. I guess I'm saying number one overall picks don't do that. David says, actually, this will be Clowney's 14. And that's the thing I'm trying to say, y'all. So let me get back. Justin Fields, pros and cons. Cons. He didn't play in a pro-style offense. I think that's one of the things that always scares me about guys coming in from college. They always playing that kind of spread offense. Now, I know they had a couple of sets where Ryan Day had them do a couple of things, but for the most part, it was still that same little pistol, little RPO thing, which they do run in the NFL, but good defenses will sniff that out. Toya says a lot of those Bulldog fans are Justin Field haters. A lot of them are, but then there are secretly a lot of them too, Toya. Trust me. I talked to a lot of them at work. I talked to a lot of them even on here. A lot of people weren't exactly thrilled that Justin left. A lot of people were not thrilled about that move. There are some people down there were downright ticked off when he made it up to Ohio State. But to your point, there's also a flip side of that. There are some people that say they stick by their Jake Fromm, and they'll have Jake Fromm for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and kick Justin to the side. But there is a faction of folks that thought Justin was done wrong. He says Clowney is a rich man's Andre Bruce. Oh, Lord. Let me tell you something. And we did a draft show the other day, but I didn't go back far because some of y'all laugh at me because I go back further. Andre Bruce, by far, was the worst ever draft pick picked by the Falcons. Number one overall pick for Atlanta Falcons. Brandon said you take calls. Actually, I did not hook it up, but if you give me about 60 seconds after I read this, I'll hook the phone back up for calls in about 60 seconds. Give me a little bit. Charles says, I'm not a Justin Fields hater. I'm glad he got his shot. And yeah, that's a good thing. Listen, he didn't have to. Listen, somebody had to take a chance on him, which is a good thing. And he got a chance to show his wares. And that's all these young men want. They want a child. They want a chance to show that they can do what they do. Perry says the pro-style offense is the reason why 49ers want Matt Jones over Justin Fields. I heard that also as well. Kyle Pitts, pros and cons. Charles says, by the way, go Dogs. Kyle Pitts, pros and cons. Kyle Pitts looks great in shorts and a t-shirt. I mean, and I say that facetiously because I think there are some people that judge somebody. It's almost like the, workout thing where when the guys are out there doing the practices in shorts and shirts and they just, oh man, you see how big he is? He'll score 80 touchdowns, which doesn't mean anything to me. Does he fit the part? He fits the part. Seems like he's a big guy, has a long wingspan. He seems like he's gonna fit the bill as far as the prototypical what you want in a tight end. And what, 4.4, if I'm not mistaken? So I don't sneeze at any of those things. The only cons I can say is really as far as the team is concerned. Do we really need a tight end? And going back to the Penei Sewell argument, I would almost argue, though that's not my choice, that I would take that offensive tackle pick before I would take a tight end. We just ran down the list a few minutes ago of all the weapons we've gotten here in Atlanta over the years. And they have gotten us to 4,000-yard seasons for Matt Ryan, but they've gotten us nowhere. The peak has been second place in the NFC South with the loser record. Last year culminating with a last place finish. Last place in the conference, I may add. So, John Harris, no. Andre Bruce was misused. Yeah. No, he was not. He was horrible. Rusty, the perfect draft would be us trading the 4th pick to Miami. We get the 6 and a few extras in return. Miami would take picks. Lance would fall to us at 6. The only issue is Cincinnati with a trade down from 5 to a team that wants a quarterback, and the Cincy don't trade there. The extra pick would get Lance and some extra. That's a perfect world. You've been watching, what's his name? Mel Kiper. That was the last mock draft that he had where he had Atlanta trading down and thinking Cincinnati would be there. See, here's the only problem. Atlanta goes down to 6. This is what happened. And I'm not saying Carolina, I mean, yeah, they got Sam Darnold, but I don't know if they'd be totally satisfied with that. You might have Washington, you might have New England, you might have, I'm trying to think who else falls in that category, Denver. You may have a lot of teams that might shoot right in front of you and go try to grab that number 5 pick. So you're taking a chance. Yeah, you get a couple of picks along the way, but you're taking a big chance because Cincinnati at this point, they ain't got nothing to lose. They're like, we got our quarterback and we can give up this pick and yeah, we'll stack up some picks as well. But I'm not feeling that. David said picks is a lot stronger than I expected. 21 reps at 225. Yeah, that's pretty good. That tells me we can teach him to block. True. And we do need blocking help on the outside. Charles, I think the Falcons would put Pitts all over the field. He wouldn't just play tight end. Charles also says Pitt has good footwork and can run routes. I love the fact that we think Pitts is all of that. And I see the call first coming in. What's going on, caller? How you doing? This is Steve. Identify yourself for me.
Yo, what's up, man? It's Brandon.
Brandon, what's going on, my brother? I'm sorry. I had my sometimes I have my little phone line loose here, and I just decided to pick it up right there. Sorry about that. Talk to me, brother. What you thinking today?
Nah, you good, Steve, man. I enjoy the show, man.
Oh, thank you.
Drop it down, you know what I'm saying? Want to compliment you on that, but
Thank you.
going back to this, like, Russell Wilson thing, like, Russell Wilson, we all got to look at what Russell Wilson is. Russell Wilson is a great regular season quarterback.
Okay.
He has not played up to a championship level at all when it's been his team.
Okay.
And I would argue that with anyone. When you look at his numbers, even when they went to those two back-to-back Bowls, Russell Wilson had 3 touchdowns in three games. He scored 2 in the Super Bowl, but the Seahawks up 29-0.
The only, and I'm gonna let you finish. I apologize. The only thing I'm gonna argue with you on that point, and the comparison I made, and I don't think you were with me last week. The comparison I was making between him and Matt Ryan. I'm gonna ask a couple of questions, rapid fire, and you answer yes or no. Did Matt Ryan have a defense this year?
No.
Did Russell Wilson have a defense last year?
No.
Did Matt Ryan have a receiving core last year?
He did.
Did Russell Wilson have a receiving core last year?
Yes, sir, he did.
Okay. Did Matt Ryan have a running game last year?
I'm gonna say no, Steve.
Did Seattle, be honest, have a running game last year?
No, they did not.
So, with those two, all those variables, you answered the same for each. Why does one quarterback, who, in my opinion, from a stat standpoint, usually comes kind of close to Russell Wilson, why is Russell always able to, his postseason success definitely depended a lot on the Legion of Boom. But why is it that every year Russell finds himself at least in the argument in the playoffs, where our quarterback here, with the same deficiencies that he has had, finds himself trying to see who's the next draft pick going to be in the top 10?
I mean, honestly, man, you make an excellent point. You can look at the comparisons and the contrast things, but the fact remains, the Seahawks played Los Angeles in the playoffs.
Right.
Los Angeles starting the backup quarterback. He gets knocked out.
This is true.
And something, he has a broken thumb.
This is true.
Outplays Russell Wilson.
This is true. I can't argue with that. And probably a bad year for me to probably make that argument. I guess my biggest point I was making with the Russell Wilson argument was that at least he wheels his team to the playoffs. You know what it is, Brandon? I'm tired of us not making the playoffs. And with our quarterback, sometimes that 2016 year, which we're all going to look back at great, he willed himself. How many times have you truly, Brandon, keep it real, in the last 2 years, seen Matt Ryan go that extra mile to get us that win? How long has it been?
You know what, man? For me, it's like, okay, you can say he's not going the extra mile. That's the truth. But the truth of the matter is, it's not enough to make the playoffs. You have a Pete Carroll as your coach. Pete Carroll is one of the best coaches in the NFL.
True.
He had Dan Quinn.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
He had Dan Quinn.
You're true.
When I look at Russell Wilson's stats in the playoffs, like say for instance, the last 2 years, they beat a Philly team that was not that good. Probably shouldn't even been in the playoffs. Then they lose to Green Bay. Then they lose in the first round this year. They lost the first round against Dallas. They lose to us in the divisional round when we beat their butt. You remember that game?
Oh, I was there, my brother.
That game. So I always look at it like, okay, regular season is one thing, but what do you do when the pressure is on? What do you do when the pressure is on? Because when the pressure is on, it doesn't seem like this guy is that guy.
I listen, I can't even argue one point. I guess my only thing I say is I wish my quarterback was in that same argument where we could remember the years when Matt was at the beginning and he kept making the playoffs, and we said he can't get to the next step, but at least we were making the playoffs. And I hear you are valid in everything you're saying about Russell Wilson. But at the same time, I also say at least he's in the conversation. We can't what bothers me is that we're not even in the conversation. We have Julio Jones. We have a dynamic defensive tackle. We have an up-and-coming cornerback on our team. We have an underused tight end that really should have got more passes this year. We basically have one of the top 5 wide receiver cores in the NFL. And all we can squeeze is 4 and 12. It's nothing but it's discontent with me, Brandon. It's not throwing Russell Wilson. It's not throwing Russell Wilson roses. He has definitely had deficiencies. I guess he was the first person I could think about who, you know what I'm saying, who compared up with him. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
And even if you look at when the NFC Championship games, when he made those NFC Championship games with those great defenses,
right?
He played terrible.
Yeah, he did. He
played terrible.
Yeah.
I guess the thing is, and I guess what we got to understand, and even if you look at somebody like I'm gonna use him as an example, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield was the #1 pick, supposed to turn the franchise around. But they didn't start really becoming a dominant team till this year when they had their running game and they had that defense.
Something that we all are hoping we can get back to one day in this franchise. You're absolutely right. Brother Brandon, make sure you join us in 10 days, brother. We're going to be on the draft night, keeping it real here in the Atlanta Bird game for us, man. We'll have phone calls and everything, my brother. We look forward to hearing you then, okay?
Oh, for sure, Steve, man. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, brother. Take care, man. Brother Charles says after trading, all that trading down and up is not the way to go in. Sorry. What is your YouTube page, brother? It is Uncle Steve's Sports Lounge. Uncle Steve's Sports Lounge on YouTube. Please, y'all, check it out. It's a lot of replays of what we're doing right now. Brother Titus says Russell Wilson for his career had a quarterback rating of 95.3 in the playoffs, 28 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 9-7 playoff record. And I think that's my only – listen, how many – if I'm not mistaken, what is Matt? 4 wins, right? The 2012, 2 to get to the Super Bowl in 2017. So 4 and probably, 8? No, 4 and 7. 4 and 7. Look, it's a hard sell, y'all. I want to the comparison to me is still not there. I think Russell does more with his team. The comparison to Cam, I think that still stands up. I'll say Aaron Rodgers. This is the first year Aaron Rodgers had a chance. I mean, Aaron Rodgers had a running game, and you see where it led him to. 4-6, my bad, Titan. 4-6 for the playoff. This is the first time he's had a running game, and he was a dumb coach decision away from possibly going to the Super Bowl. I mean, so when you think about it, they've had their opportunities. They have. Folks, we got a long off season, and this 2 weeks from 10 days, or 11 days from now, I hope it doesn't break everybody up when it does, because somebody's going to be sour. Somebody's going to be mad. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be so many I told you so posts in this group. It's not going to be funny. Now, I told you so's are going to be off the chain. If we pick Pitts, I told you so. If we pick quarterback, I told you so. If we pick Sewell, or if we make a trade, I told you so. But the bottom line is it's all about this franchise getting better, and that's what I'm down with. The Atlanta Falcons getting better. Again, y'all, just want to remind you one more time, 11 days from now on draft night, we will be here, Facebook Live in Atlanta Bird Gang. Spread the news. I'm sure we'll be putting up something post-wise to remind everybody. Listen, Mel Kiper is all right. NFL Network is cool. Everybody else is ESPN is all right, but ain't nothing like kicking it with your boys, brother Marcus, Tidy, Brian, and my brother Nicholas. We will all be in here. I'm sure we're going to be having fun that night. We're going to keep it real that night. We'll keep it local that night and to have some fun together. I think it's going to be all that, man. Thank you, Brother Charles. I appreciate that, man. And y'all join us that night. I think it's going to be a fun, awesome night. We're going to get Tidy from getting them black Starbucks. I don't even understand. I don't even know who gets black Starbucks cups. I'm just trying to figure that out. Who does he know down in his part of the woods that have those cups? I don't even get that. I mean, he must be a special customer or something like that. But anyway, y'all make sure y'all join. Oh, I'm okay right here. Greg Mann said, "Why is everybody against the Falcons?" What are you talking about? You must have come late to the thing. No, nobody's against the Falcons, my brother. I don't even know. I have no idea what you're talking about. Winston said, "I'll definitely be there." Thank you, Winston. We appreciate it, man. We appreciate that wholeheartedly. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna talk. We're all gonna be on here doing our thing. Y'all join us then, man. Until then, I will see y'all next week, next Sunday, unless we have breaking news during the week, which I'll pop in. Y'all have a great week. The weather's supposed to be real nice this week. I think a little cool on Wednesday and Thursday, sunny all week. Y'all enjoy yourselves. Take care. Be blessed. And we'll see y'all next time here in the Atlanta Bird Gang and also on Uncle Steve's Sports Lounge. Y'all take care.